we finally reached the tipping point for Neil Gaiman, as it's been revealed that Disney is canceling one of his movies, The Graveyard Book, because of the allegations here. Wow. It's been months of companies sitting on this, the media sitting on this, nobody reporting on it except for us. It was crazy. If you look on Blue Sky, the liberal echo chamber, you'd think that we're worse for actually talking about the fact that Neil Gaiman is a creep rather than the stuff that he did. But I think it's the Tortoise podcast recently where it actually had audio of Neil Gaiman trying to pay off his accuser to silence her, offering $60,000 to one of them. He offered a lot more to another. I'll go over the whole situation if you've not heard of this yet, because it's crazy. Again, it's just a media silence on this. But now it's the House of Cards is starting to tip over. This is a man who was built up. They propped up this guy for decades as somebody who you should not only idolize for his writing, but idolize because he's such a great male feminist ally. He is exactly the type of person you should be. He's a good person. And turns out, not so much. And this is what evil always does. They prop up evil as good. They try to convince you that good is evil. And this is why we do what we do. This is the whole publishing industry, in books, in comics. It's the entertainment industry, in movies, in video games. They've been pushing this agenda for way too long. They've pushed too far. They've propped up people who really shouldn't be there. And in the process of things, they tell you you're a bigot if you don't accept it. It's been wild. And let's get into the news in just a moment about Neil Gaiman. My name's John Delarose, everybody. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We're covering all the most important things in pop culture, especially the stuff nobody else covers. And I would love for you to check out my books as well. Once you're done subscribing here. I've actually got my For Steam and Country. This is the first book in my steampunk fantasy series. It's on sale right now through the weekend, 99 cents. And I would love for you to get in on this. This is my bestseller. It's sold something around 35,000 books, somewhere in there so far. And it's got a series that really, really builds up. So get in on this. Make sure to read the second book, The Blood of Giants. That's really where, I start packing a huge punch with my fiction here. And you'll love it. It's a little different, but it's something that, again, it's just you'll be able to enjoy. It's PG. Your kids will be able to enjoy it. I try to do everything in that sort of vein as much as I possibly can, because the stuff out there, like Neil Gaiman stuff, is just degenerate. I want to get rid of that in culture. It's what we're trying to do something different here. This is a story of heroic fantasy for real. And it's just 99 cents for the first volume right now. Now, I'm climbing up the charts here in all of these steampunk science fiction, steampunk fiction. I'd love all of this to get to number one by the end of the day. And 99 cents. Come in on us and help the channel out, support us. I'll put this link in the description below. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. And again, this is a 6-book series, so there's a lot of fun reading, and there's audio versions also, if that's your way you like to read. So Neil Gaiman got into trouble earlier this year when Tortoise Podcast broke that there were 2 women who were accusing him of sexual assault. The first one is a fan who just feels like she got taken advantage of and that he manipulated her. The other one was like an employee, kind of. He was a babysitter / nanny that Amanda Palmer, his wife at the time, hired to bring her back to the house. And this is the one that he was one of the women who eventually got paid off. There were 3 of them. And that woman came home, and within hours, apparently, he brought her into a bathtub, and maybe she was his employee. Very weird. He says he only cuddled with her in the tub, but Mr. Tub Cuddle, I don't know about that. Well, I don't know. She says something completely different. Now, and very weird. If they were just cuddling, why would there be a payoff? I don't know. And an NDA. But those exist. Those have been confirmed. And then other women came out with this situation. One of them did this podcast where she felt she had been manipulated by him for years, and he ended up paying $60,000 to her for a therapy to cover her therapy. And he promised donations to like a women's center, which he never ended up paying, according to Tortoise. Lied about that too. Lied about a lot of things, it turns out. And then the third was the wife of a gardener who worked on one of his properties. She stayed at his property for years and ended up getting a $275,000 settlement from him and an NDA because she accuses him now of forcing her to do different acts in order to stay there for rent. So crazy stuff, gross stuff. Now, again, this has been largely ignored by the media this entire time. I was talking about this, covering these. There's 7 women allegations. I've covered it every step of the way on my Fandom Pulse website here. If you haven't signed up for this, this is a great place. You just get an email when I write my articles, and they come out to you, so you can just read your articles on your phone via your email. Makes it simple. That's in the description below too. And nobody else was covering it. It was crazy. And it took a month plus for the science fiction kind of community to start talking about this at all. Now, we learned that there was a marketing PR campaign, a crisis management firm hired by Neil Gaiman to flood social media with posts about his works and things like that to try to cover this up as well. And part of that crisis management, I'm sure they went to the media and said things. I was told by my insider comic source in the industry that there was a stand-down order for people to talk about it. Not many people in the comic industry have mentioned this whatsoever. Only a few have, even now. And it's because, again, DC Comics relies on the Sandman. I mean, they get a lot of revenue from that. They can't risk losing that revenue from those reprints at this point. They've really built this guy up so big that he's such a cash cow in film, in TV, in books, in comics, that there's, they really can't afford this. This is something that can collapse whole industries. It really can. And so that silence has been deafening, as the cliche goes. And it's been crazy. Now, finally, this is changing. And it's changing, I think, because of that audio of him with the hush money showing up. And now that that's out there, what can you do? You can't brush this off too far. So Disney, doesn't like this kind of thing more than most. It's Disney. They're making things for kids. The Graveyard Book is probably going to be a movie for teens and kids, and they don't want this on their brand. So Variety actually finally reported on this. Thank you, Variety. Disney halted development of a forthcoming film adaptation of Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book midst of the accusations of sexual assault against the writer. The film from director Mark Forster hasn't been stopped completely. However, multiple factors, including the allegations, contributing to it, putting it on hold. Now, on hold means it's not going to come back. Now, they're hoping this goes away, sweeps under the rug. Maybe they can still make money off of it, they hope, but there's no way. There's no way it's going to come back at this juncture. It's over. And this is a big, big sign. This is a big tipping point. I have not seen anybody take any kind of action on this sort of thing before. Neil Gaiman has been silent. He's disappeared on social media. He used to be very active. He has canceled a public appearance so far where people paid to go see him. The crisis management firm is the only one posting about Neil Gaiman in any kind of way. And it's just been absolute silence. But more information keeps coming out. More women keep coming forward. We know that Amanda Palmer has allegedly told one of the victims that there's at least 14 women involved. So with 7 who have come out, there's at least 7 more. Maybe she had different women involved. I don't know. We reported on the Ambien situation where somebody on Reddit alleged that their friend went over and stayed at his house in the guest room, and he warned her that he gets weird once he takes Ambien at night, and then allegedly he came and groped her in the middle of the night. Crazy stuff. This guy's a weirdo, and it should have been obvious from his fiction to begin with. But this is crazy. No cast has been announced for The Graveyard Book, so it didn't get that far into development. A young boy raised by the supernatural inhabitants of a graveyard after his family is murdered. Forster came on board in 2022, along with his producing partner Renee Wolf and producer Ben Browning. David Magee was tapped to adapt the book, which was initially published in 2008. The novel is a bestseller, won several awards. Of course, they always win all these awards. So they then summarized some of the podcast stuff about the stuff that was going on with him. They don't really talk about that much. They only mention 5 accusers because, they don't follow us. They don't know that there's been 7, so they're behind the times. But I think it's just piling up too much at this point. He has had too much of a pattern, too much of a history of abuse, and they just can't cover it up anymore. Really interesting to see how slowly this is developing and how slowly it's going. When you've seen just like if somebody just steps wrong, like Gina Carano makes a post on Instagram, loses her entire career just for being a Republican. You can see how this double standard in the media is crazy, and it is something that at least they're starting to get their due. At least things are starting to crumble. I'm happy that the media is finally taking notice after all of our reporting and hard work on this. But gosh, this is too slow. It's wild. And I wonder what's going to happen with The Sandman Season 2 on Netflix. That's really the question here. All right. Leave a comment down below with what you think about Disney canceling the Graveyard Book movie. Leave a comment down below. I already said that. I'll fix it and edit. Hit the like and subscribe button. Whew, I'm getting real bad at the end of this video, guys. What's going on? Check out, this is why I write and I don't talk for a living. Check out For Steam and Country. Like I said, it's only 99 cents. Would love for you to come in on this today. Let's knock this up the Amazon charts. I appreciate you guys for being there. It's in the description below. We'll be back soon.